Welcome to another video of Contember Week #20. This time, we will try to generate the cookbook application and showcase some minor modifications within the generated app. I'm looking for a user-friendly application called Home Chef to help me with managing my home cooking activities. This application offers a diverse collection of recipes and allows me to save and categorize my favorite recipes for easy access. Ember will now generate a basic description of the entire application for you. It will provide a list of components it can help you with, as well as highlight areas where it may not be able to assist you at the moment. Ember has chosen the headless CMS project type for this project. And now we're going to define user roles. The first role will be Chef, a user who will be able to enter new recipes into the system. The second type of user will be Cook, who will only be able to view recipes. We will check for any missing roles, and then we can proceed to defining the flows of the application. Recipe creation, form for a new recipe. Recipe browsing with simple grid filtering functionality. Tags, view all tags and create new one. Favorites. Mark recipe as favorite and show only favorites recipes on one page. Let's check for any possible missing flows, and then we can move on to the phase of generating the application and downloading the complete source code. All entities have been created. Let's proceed with the initial deployment of the application to the cloud, and then you can open the locally downloaded source files. Please copy the DSN for the next project update. Let's open the project folder and download the project dependencies using npm. Another tool we need to have installed is Docker. Let's check its version, and then we can use the command npm start to start the Contember engine, which utilizes Docker for local development. After that, we'll start the admin tool, which handles hot reloading during development and compiles everything necessary through Vite. Let's run the database migrations to ensure that our local database contains the tables for our entities. Finally, we can see the URL address where our local application is running, and we can proceed with making minor code modifications. As the first step, let's update the main title of the application. We can find it in the definition of the layout, where we can also see the usage of the navigation component. Modifying the navigation will be the next minor step for our application. As you can see, the navigation is another React component defined in the file right next to layout. Here, we can already see the first Contember component that helps us display conditional content based on the user's role. As you remove unnecessary items from the navigation, you can see that hot reloading works beautifully. The next step will be refining forms. The individual administration pages are defined in the Pages directory, which then load grid or form components. All forms can be found in the Components and Forms directories. Since there is a relationship between categories and recipes, let's modify the category form so that only the category name is defined. I will remove the repeater component, which is responsible for adding recipes under a category. I will add a few items to the categories. Let's add the first recipe now. The entity contains a description in the content block, an image, categories, and ingredients. Ingredients in the form establish a connection to the recipe. We will remove this field from the form. Now let's fill in our first recipe. We will use the Rich Text Edit component for the description, where we can modify styles for words and paragraphs. We'll select a category, add an image, and then fill in multiple ingredients. Once you've baked the cake, be sure to send us a photo. After that, we'll add the preparation time and difficulty level, and then save the form. Finally, we will remove the last form element that defines the relationship between users and recipes. The definition will remain in the database, and we will add another UI component in the next video to easily mark recipes as favorites for users. As a final step, we will create a separate page that will solely display a recipe with its photo and rich text description, including all the ingredients. This will involve a few steps. In the Pages directory, let's create a new file called detail.tsx and use the detail page component. This component will ensure that we have access to the currently displayed entity from the database within its context. We will add the title display to the main heading and use the React component has many to list all the ingredients. For more information on the model definition, please open the file in the API and model directories. Here, you can easily perform model migrations, which we will demonstrate in the next video. To access the recipe detail page, let's add a new column to the recipe listing with a link to the recipe detail. We can use the React components, generic cell, link, and field for this purpose. Now we have a functional link to the recipe detail. Let's take a look at it. Currently, we are displaying simple attributes, such as name or ingredient descriptions. For displaying images and rich text content, we will use our boilerplate solution for now, but in future versions, we will simplify it for general purposes. We are displaying the image. Now let's move on to the rich text component. The rich text component stores content in blocks, so we need to render each block individually. Here lies the secret weapon for working with dynamic content in the core of the Contember engine, but we will discuss it in more detail in the upcoming videos. For now, we will use the boilerplate code for the custom rich text renderer component, which we will add to the components directory. Then, we can use it in the recipe detail page to render the text blocks from the rich text component. After all our modifications, let's deploy our modified version of the administration to the Contember cloud. We will need the DSN that we copied from the final screen during the application generation. Before that, let's stop the local Docker or open a new terminal and run the command npm deploy with the DSN, which contains the secret token for the private upload to the Contember cloud. Today's code walkthrough is coming to an end. We have seen how to modify the generated code and then deploy the application to the Contember cloud. We have learned how to customize the pre-generated form to suit our needs and remove unnecessary form elements related to entity relationships. We have also demonstrated how to display images and formatted descriptions. There was more covered in today's video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Next week, we will focus more on the new features during application generation.